Hiroshi Shaib here with just some thoughts of the day. I thought I'd share a pretty interesting story. So, I think it was about a month or two back, there was during the height of the whole fee crisis within Bitcoin. BTC.com, which is owned by Bitmain, also does wallets and mining, had mined an 80 Bitcoin fee block. Somebody has sent fee transaction with an 80 Bitcoin fee attached to it, which is a very erroneous, a very high given to what was being sent. It should have been, according to their calculations, 2 Bitcoins. So they put it out there on their blog, Media Blast, Reddit, all through the channel, stating that, hey, if you can demonstrate and prove your ownership, we want to return what's obvious and clearly an error, your Bitcoin, this extra Bitcoin that you sent. So they end up finding the person. The person ended up proving who they are. It was called, hold on, I have my notes here, Cubis. It was a wallet company, a payment service company, and they're the ones who sent it, and they got returned their 80 Bitcoin back. But one of the agreements that BTC asked was like, hey, since we're doing this, and they really didn't have to, why don't we do a little bit charitable thing that benefits both companies? And both of them, and I have a link in the show notes, have blogs about the incident. And they gave $10,000 to Coded to Inspire, which helps Afghanistan children, primarily women, learn how to code. So that's going to go along. So one of the interesting things about all this, besides the charitable gift that was given by these two companies, is that it's just a demonstration of the charitable nature that cryptocurrency in general has. Dogecoin, which is a community I'm part of, is very exemplified demonstration of that. They're always doing charitable goods. I'm using the Shy podcast. I'm going to highlight that as part of my palate cleanser to get away from the block size debate. Talk about some of the things that the Dogecoin community is still doing, even though we're not as big or as strong as we once were about the height of the community's existence. But there are still charitable things going on. I'm actually going to talk about not a charitable thing, but a company that's popped up within the Dogecoin community that's kind of fun and interesting. But what I wanted to talk about is this is like a trustless system. You don't have to trust people to utilize it. You just have to trust the consensus and the mechanisms in place that allows you for these type of peer-to-peer interactions. And what it does is it allows people to, you don't have to be an asshole or a bad actor. You can just, as in this instance, BTC said, hey, if you can prove who you are, we more than willing to give it back to you. This is not necessarily something we completely rightfully earn. People can make errors, and because once you've done something with Bitcoin, once you sent your coins, it's kind of done. There's no chargebacks or anything like that. It becomes like a social mechanism if you accidentally sent something to the wrong wallet or something foul happens. A lot of companies and even people have like, hey, I got this. If you can prove who you are, sign the messages, whatever, I'll send it back to you. And it allows for human nature to be not only provably good, but allows them to be, act in the goodness of their heart. Because what people don't want to be done, and it's happening quite a lot in the space, people get scammed. And one of the principal people say is you're going to get scammed in this space. It's a good way to learn, not to do that action and to think maybe a little bit differently. I can understand that to a point. Maybe I'll talk about that, my thoughts about that on a different blog. But what it allows is for people to do is to act on the goodness of their heart or good intentions or do the right thing, knowing that it is the right thing to do, that they're giving their funds to the right people and they're not getting screwed over. And I think on a sociable scale, while this is not necessarily a consensus mechanism or a hashing power or provable mathematical composition, but a social act that people are doing, it allows for technology and a social consciousness, if you will, a social development to merge where you can start seeing people doing the right thing more often, because not only can they demonstrate it and prove it, but they know quantitatively, mathematically, in a provable fashion or a provable manner that they are doing the right thing, that these funds are going to the right people, is going for the right cause, is doing the right thing. This is how the funds are being distributed. They can see it through the blockchain, and they have an understanding that they have an impact, the ripple effect, if you will, of their money or their causes or things they're supporting are having some kind of impact. Or even if the impact they're having is very minute or it's not effectively working, then there's more we're becoming so data driven this day and age, and how we're understanding data and how we're reading data, and some of it has to do with our perceptions and concepts of what data is can kind of cloud sometimes, but there are some things that are very quantitative where you can look and go 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. You can see some hardened facts, and I think the blockchain allows that to happen. So it's just kind of a good thing. The other bit of news is just quick things, updates. Another thing came out about Overstock is they've added the shapeshift little button within their checkout, so you can pay with other cryptocurrencies while using that merchant. Granted, they're going to probably take that same shapeshift because they're getting that shapeshift. Ethereum, Dash, all that is going to get automatically converted to Bitcoin, so they're going to get more Bitcoin from that. But it does allow for other communities like Monero, Dogecoin, Dash, other communities to spin it for other places. And Overstock is a good company to be spending stuff on. The last bit is that SegWit has locked in, so now we're in the last phase, which is a 2-week locking phase, which is going to allow for the code to completely propagate and harden within the blockchain space. So that is completely done. As a result of that news, Bitcoin was trading, I think it was high at 3,400, but I think it's depending on what exchanges you look at, but I think the average is like around 3,200 is where Bitcoin is trading at. Let's see. Let me talk about the Dogecoin news before I talk about this last Bitcoin news, which is going to be the heart of the matter. There is a company called Kimichi Sock. It has Bitcoin socks, Proof socks, and Dogecoin socks. They have the sale going on. They started back in mid-July, all the way to August 19th. I'm going to have at the end of the video here their commercial where they're selling Dogecoin socks. They're having a little sale. They advertise within our Dogecoin. And it's just a very fun, they have a very fun little commercials they're doing. If you're interested, they look like neat little socks that they have. But they also have Bitcoin in what they call proof of stake sock or proof sock. And they also have other socks on there. They're a sock company. And lastly, so this thing came out this very day the SegWit is locking in. This pull request came through, which was debated about for the last 4 or 5 days, concerning what is called a BIP6 or BIP8, where if nodes are not operating with consensus, they're going to basically, to sum it up, they're going to break away from SegWit 2x. So I guess if SegWit 2x, this 2x portion happens, there is going to be a breakaway again. Like there seems to be an effort on Bitcoin Core to where they are already starting the works to where they're not going to allow for the hard fork to happen. And one of the pull requests has to do with, which was originally called nodes that are not operating to consensus rules, and you have to signal by using BIP6 and BIP8. Now it's just like a bit, not bit, but BIP6, BIP8. Now it's just called BIP8. It's being pulled, which means they're going to refine it, and eventually it's going to go into the BIP proposals. Is going to be looked at, worked on, and then eventually it could be activated. Don't know what the BIP number is going to be, but I guess they're pulling it. And basically what it is going to do is it's an effort on the part of Bitcoin Core and the developers within the Bitcoin Core community not to allow for the hard fork to occur, not to allow for the raising of the block size limit. So it looks like this is August, September, October, November. So 4 months from now, we could have another fork. We could, in essence, have Bitcoin Legacy or Bitcoin Core block Bitcoin, and then the New York Agreement, where most of the economics is, like the companies and the mining power, SegWit 2x Bitcoin, and still have Bitcoin Cash. So the possibility or the probability is high of 3 Bitcoins coming into existence. There's still a possibility, very low probability, of a 4th Bitcoin where the proof of stake might change, which is something on the Bitcoin Core end. So they might, when they fork, they might actually not only stop hard forks from happening, but change the proof of stake, to which would crash the ASIC mining power. But I don't think they're going to do that for the simple fact that they want that mining hash rate, but that mining hash rate can then split off. So who knows? This is all new. This just kind of come in, but it's kind of deliberate that the pull request has been accepted or got pulled, and I'll have a link in the show notes, and the comments that were coming in there on the same day that SegWit happened. So pretty much the stance of a lot of the contributors of Bitcoin Core is they don't want a hard fork at all. But that's what's going to have to happen in order for the 2 megabyte block size limit to occur. So there's that. So always drama in the Bitcoin space. It's kind of what I want to get away from it a little bit. Talk about Dogecoin, Ethereum, Dash, other coins, other technologies on Musings the Shy podcast. But there you have it. That's what's going on. It's kind of a dickish move, if I want to put my thought spin on it. Really dickish move. I don't think the Bitcoin Core people fully, completely understand the entire ecosystem, the whole of it. I think they see in a very narrow window, a narrow picture, and they're not taking a step back and, seeing the forest from the trees, if you will, seeing the beauty that's the entirety of the blockchain ecosystem. And sometimes you need that in order to either improve, take in, understand, or develop something. And maybe if people were to take a step back and just have a little zen moment, maybe we can finally kind of get into the social consensus when it comes to the changes to the Bitcoin blockchain. But that's it for now. That's my thoughts. We'll see what happens. Of course, I'm sure there's going to be more drama, but unless it's something significant like SegWit not actually locking in at all, I don't see that happening, or some random thing. I think I'm going to distance myself from the Bitcoin side and start talking about, some of the stuff that's happening with Monero, Dash, other things within the cryptocurrency space. But that's it for now. Thanks for listening, and to the moon.